I'm the Water Conservation and Sustainability Coordinator for the City of Peoria. And for these events, we are also partnering with ASU's Project Cities. So I've been working with 4 amazing graduate students through the program, and they've been helping me with this phase of our sustainability plan, as well as are helping to host these events that we've had. So thank you to Kayla, Casey, Lauren, Lanessa, and Stephen for helping us out. So before we jump into the goodies for today and the topics, I want to give a really brief history. And so for those of you that have joined previously, I'll make it quick. A very quick history of how our sustainability plans have kind of navigated through the years. So Peoria had a sustainability plan that was first created back in 2012. And it was updated a little bit in 2016, but it hasn't really had an overhaul since then. And so our hope when we kind of thought about how we were going to do it this round was to really try and create a community-driven document. And by that, it means that it's a plan that starts with the community in mind, and we really build from the ground up. And so to do that, we have to understand what our community's needs are in sustainability, what the actions and ideas and the vision is from our residents, so that we can make sure that our plan aligns with the needs that our residents have. So we really want this to be something that's driven by our community members, that you all can be proud of, and that we can show progress throughout the community. So a little bit different this time. We hope that this is something that we're going to make sure that there's tracking that's also built into this plan, so that we can really easily communicate and be transparent after the fact as well. So that's kind of the slightly different spin that we are taking this round on the plan. And that's why having you attend and having your input is so critical. So we thank you again for joining us tonight for our 4th and final session of our virtual town hall. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll go to the next slide. So tonight's our topics, we're going to start with building and energy. Next slide. So building and energy is, so in each of these slides, what I'm going to do for a quick background, we're just going to define what our category is. And then each category also has an example goal, is what we're calling them. Some of them have 2 example goals, just to kind of give an idea of things that would fit nicely within this category. So for building and energy, we say it's reducing energy consumption at municipal sites, promote energy efficiency in new and existing buildings, and explore the use of alternative clean energy sources. And our kind of example goal for this is to create a new method to analyze building energy use by organizing accounts into multiple building categories, then craft an energy efficiency strategy for each category. You know, being a municipality, our buildings vary very much in what they are. Some are office, some are more of your almost industry-like when we have our fleet. So making sure that we can separate those and understand the energy uses individually will really kind of help us be able to better strategize effective methods later. So our expert in this field that's joining us tonight is Kyle Kobayashi, and we're so grateful for him. He's kind of our expert that will help answer some questions as we go along tonight. And the next slide. So Kyle, did you have a fun fact as we are switching over? So we're going to switch over to our whiteboard, which is where we can kind of write down our comments real time with everyone. But if you wanted to share a fun fact about our buildings and energy, go ahead.
I laugh at the term expert on that one, but we do have, we're looking at a couple things that we're doing in the city right now, the use of photovoltaic systems and extensive LED lighting retrofits for our facilities. Currently, we have 8 photovoltaic sites that we placed across the city, and we did 13 facilities with complete retrofits, and we completed the project actually in December of 2019. So this is actually the first full year of our project. And we're getting our measurements and values from a contractor that we hired, that we worked with to do the installation and the proposals.
Excellent. Yes, so pure, we've tried to over the years do some of these kind of retrofits and some of these exciting energy efficiency projects. So being able to put solar on, I think we had 8 different buildings that were impacted was really kind of a big jump. I know that from water services, one of our plants, the Butler treatment plant, has a parking solar and some on the building for the admin office. And they have actually been able to reduce their power by about 36% with the solar that was done over the past year or so. So we're definitely, if you kind of look at it building by building, be able to see definitely there is a benefit to us being able to utilize that where it's smart to do so. So at this time, we are opening it up for comments or questions for us related to this topic. Out of curiosity, go ahead, David. I just saw you unmute.
Oh yeah, hi. Thanks. Yeah. The reason I kind of joined in tonight is I work at Peoria High School, and I'm a STEM advisor for our MESA program, and that stands for Math, Engineering, Science Achievement. And a couple of my students were going to try and get on tonight, but they may have had to work or may have had something else going on. But one of the projects that we have, we do a competition every year, and one of the projects in our competition this year is where our students have to design a tower. And as part of the requirements of the tower, they have to make a model of it, but they have to take a look at all of the sustainability, water conservation, and any water collection, anything like that, any lead advances in the tower. They also have to take a look at, of course, where they're building the tower, and as far as the ground goes, the structure. They have to look at any weather issues as far as heat, earthquakes, tornadoes, things like that to build their structure there. So I kind of tuned in tonight because the topic of sustainability and seeing what some of the things are happening in Peoria, I thought might give our students a little background research here to be able to see what's happening there, to see what we may look at building into the towers that the students are creating.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining. I'm always excited to have our educators join us, especially those that do STEM. On the water conservation side, we do STEM events, and sometimes we even get into classrooms and get to do fun things for water conservation. So it's always exciting when we get to make those connections. I know that it seems, and Kyle, it's kind of a question for you, is a lot of the solar that's been done, really the focus has more recently been on parking structures, because those are, and you can probably go into the details more than me.
Yeah, most of the issue comes with adding solar to roofs is the structural stability of any facility. One of the facilities that we did include roof solar was our Pinnacle Peak Patrol Services facility, which was completed in 2017. We had designed that facility with those sustainabilities consideration in mind, and reinforced the roof structure to be able to accept solar panels. Most of our city facilities were designed several years ago, so those considerations weren't considered, and we looked at rooftop solar, and it'd be extremely expensive to structurally strengthen those facilities to incorporate the photovoltaic cells. So most of them were done on parking structures.
And it's a little bit of a win-win. We're shading parking, so we're creating shade over an area that would be extremely hot, of course, in the sun anyway, providing that space for vehicles and for people to be more comfortable, but then we can make energy off of that as well. So this parking structure kind of seem like a win-win. So we do have a question from Stephen Roth. Are the solar panels that the city has on its building leased or purchased? And was a cost comparison done?
They were funded using Krebs Clean Renewable Energy bonds. So that bond is, we looked at a 20-year payback on that, and doing our estimates, we looked at what we'd be paying for the photovoltaic and LED within 17 years. So we did get an effective payback. We evaluated several other alternatives that, including chiller rehabs and HVAC, but they didn't have the payback requirements we were looking for.
Excellent, thank you. And great question, Stephen, as well. I know for homeowner solar, there's a big divide of right now, it's the lease or the purchase outright. And now I think some utility companies on the residential scale are offering different things. So I know that there's kind of a vast difference between that, what's available to residents, and then of course what is available on the commercial side as well. Oh, great question. And then the water side. So Stephen also asked, have low flow faucets and toilets been retrofitted?
We actually, most of the facilities, the newer facilities were installed with low flow. We haven't gone back and done any retrofits unless the fixture was requiring replacement. And then if it required replacement, we did move to low flow. During this COVID times, we've changed out a lot of our fixtures to touchless, so that on that side of the house, just by being touchless and photo activated, it actually has reduced some of our water requirements.
Excellent. Yes, I was impressed working at least the building that I do in the DCSP, so that's our community services building, that most of the things there have been updated. So when I first started Peoria, I was excited to see that as well. And so I know a lot of effort is put into and thought. So when something gets replaced, it's being replaced not with what's in the truck, what we have it in stock, it's being replaced with something that's more efficient. So that is a nice smart plan that Peoria is building off of to slowly kind of turn those things to more efficient things. Great questions. And David, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you have any information on what any lead efforts, the LED efforts that are going on, or anything that any goals that Peoria has for their buildings that are going on there? We get points in the project for for having our building LEED certified. So if you have some things that, if you have any buildings in Peoria that are LEED certified, and any ideas of things that you're doing in there to get those LEED certified?
Yeah, we have our lead architect and most of his staff are all LEED certified. So all new facilities, I would say within the last, I don't know, I've just been with the city for 5 years, but since I've been here, any new design has been LEED certified.
Do we have two buildings, or is it more than that? So I know that there's the community center is a LEED, there's the library is a LEED. How many do we have now?
The patrols, we have the two libraries, the main library and the library up at Sunrise. The Sunrise library is where we put the photovoltaic systems that have become net zero for electricity consumption. So that was one of the buildings that we were able to retrofit and have net zero in terms of electrical consumption. But the patrol services building that I mentioned that was built in 2017 was LEED, I want to say LEED Gold. They have, you know, that's one of the prerequisites for any new facility that they're LEED certified.
Was very excited to find out about that also when I first came here, that's a standard that has been put forward, is that all new buildings have to meet that very strict criteria. So it's strict to start with, but if you think about the long-term benefits and the lower maintenance costs and things, so of course that's always a smart way to go. And then speaking of LEED, so Peoria is also a Star Communities registered community, so we are on that list, but they've kind of changed hands over that. I guess has been purchased by the LEED, so by the U.S. Green Business Council has taken on their program, and so Peoria is now trying to figure out how we switch from the Star Communities rating system of where we kind of sit within their sustainability ranking over to the new LEED system as well. So that's less just our municipality, but kind of on a community-wide scale. So a lot of the things that we talk about tonight are things that will kind of apply into that rating system for the communities as well. Fantastic questions. Do we have anything else? I'll give like a 30 seconds pause so I don't talk over anyone. If you have any questions, you can type or just unmute yourself.
Is there somewhere where like the LEED criteria or the to meet the LEED certification is available, or a list of the items that Peoria buildings have, specific list of what Peoria buildings have, so that they do become LEED certified? Is that available?
Yes, you'd be able to contact our engineering department, and like you said, there's specific criteria to LEED certification and what constitutes LEED points, and you need certain amount of points to reach the different levels. And during their design process, they go through that extensively to get LEED certified. So each factor is considered and allocated points. And so, like I said, the head architect that manages that section is LEED certified, and most of his staff is also, and they'll work with the architect engineering firm during the design to ensure those components are met.
And Kyle, do you have that email for engineering that we could give folks if they wanted to contact to get the details of what we've done in our building?
The Ed Striffler. So, Ed, do you have?
Let me find his email, David, and I will put it in the chat so that you can email Ed. So yes, he's kind of our master when it comes to the LEED building.
Yeah.
Thank you. That'd be great, because the students, part of they have to do a lot of research for this. So if there's any contacts or anything like that we can make to work on that aspect of this, the sustainability aspect of our project, that would be great. That the students could make contact and get some more information.
Yeah, and there's specific criteria for LEED certification, and you have to go down the list, and like you talked about, looking at building, from everything from building materials to plumbing, air conditioning, lighting, parking, use of plants, all those things are incorporated into the LEED certification.
And so in the chat, we have posted a link to the US GBC, the LEED program they have. And so that will give some information about those requirements. And then there's also the contact, which would be Ed Strickler. And so his email is there for you to contact as well. So we had one other point that came through was, what about thermostats, digital? At what temperature are buildings kept in the hot months?
In the hot months, it's 72 to 74, up to 70. Depends. It actually depends on some of the facilities. It can go up to 78, but and in the fire stations, we actually keep it a little cooler.
Yeah. One thing I thought was interesting is that I heard about this through our other facilities folks, is that during COVID, what you guys did this past summer was you opened up the HVAC system to have more fresh air from outside circulating in buildings. And so it's kind of an interesting shift, and I don't know how that necessarily plays energy wise, but that you guys were able to manage how much outside air was coming in versus recirculating. I thought that was kind of a fascinating way to try and help mitigate some of the COVID impacts.
So by maximizing outside air, that did increase some of our electrical costs. However, due to a lot of the telecommuting, and we shut down, minimize a lot of the buildings, that just the sheer output from computers and personnel, that the effect wasn't as great as if we had open maximize air with maximum number of people.
We had a horribly hot, miserable summer. And so
Yes.
I'm sure without all that, the bills would have been crazy high anyway. I think all of us probably experienced that this summer here in Arizona. There was not
And
much you could do when it was so many days of 110 or 15.
so actually, when we looked at some of the costs, they were not too bad, or some of them actually went down. And I really think that was due to some of the LED light retrofits in some of our major facilities, and the photovoltaic system that was installed at some of these areas.
We definitely saw it at our Butler water treatment plant, and the fact that the LED light bulbs put off little to almost no heat. When you think of these buildings that has so many lights, the difference that has to make overall, going from the older bulbs to these ones that just don't have that heat, have to be relatively substantial over time as well. I'm always fascinated, right? You can grab a bulb when it's on and turn it and not burn your fingers like you used to back in the days. So
Yeah, and it uses a lot less energy than our former incandescent and fluorescent bulbs.
excellent. So I will pause for another 30 seconds to see what other questions are coming through. All right, I don't see anything else coming through. So we'll go ahead and switch back to our presentation and we'll move into our next group. But please, if you think of other questions, feel free to unmute or to type in the chat. If you think of something beyond today, you can also always email conservation@peoriaaz.gov, and we are happy to answer questions, but also to take whatever input or ideas that you may have for the city and to include that into this part of our data gathering process. Thank you. So our conservation email, they just put in the chat. So thank you, Stephen, for adding that into the chat for everyone. Okay, so next, our topic is we're moving into is community engagement and education, which of course is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, as that is a bulk of what I do is outreach and education. Next slide. So we are defining this as engaging the community in the development and implementation of sustainable policies and practices while continually offering education to citizens on conservation and sustainability. So some of our example goals are actually ones that we kind of had to put into place a little bit early so that we could meet this. And so that is to create an engagement plan for the sustainability plan process that allows the community to shape the goals and actions. And then to provide continual education opportunities on sustainable topics through the Sustainable University program. So I am, I guess, our expert today. We have maybe someone else was going to join, but they have not been able to make it on tonight. So I'll kind of be the one that gets to talk with you guys about education and outreach and some of the awesome things that Peoria is doing and the things that we really hope to do to keep our community engaged and involved and make this whole process as transparent as possible. We can go ahead and go into the next slide and to whiteboard. So some facts that I can kind of share. Normally with our Sustainable U, our class series that we would have somewhere between like 500 and 700 attendees throughout the year. With COVID, of course, we had to switch all of our spring classes over to a virtual format. And we actually took a survey and asked our residents or community members, how do you guys want to shift here? So what's going to work best for our community members? And it was a little bit different than a lot of the other cities, but our residents said that we want something that's pre-recorded, something that's on YouTube that they can go at any time and view. You also wanted shorter classes, which makes sense now, especially that we all are reaching virtual overload. Trying to sit down and watch an hour after the workday or after school and squeeze in another hour of time is tricky for all of us. So we are kind of aiming at that 30 minutes pre-recorded classes. And so we were able to do 7 of these this spring and actually, excuse me, this fall. So we switched gears for the fall. And so we were able to get over 35,000 views to our 7 classes that we offered. So it's not the same as in person, and we really look forward to getting back to that format. But we were excited to still be able to offer some type of educational opportunity for people. And then you can go and click in and view these, at your leisure as well, rather than having to have a set time to set aside for it. So that's kind of our fun fact and how we had to change gears a little bit from how we normally did our classes to how we have been doing them for the past few months. So I will open up the floor. Does anyone have any questions, comments on our engagement and our education opportunities?
Yes, I have a question. Where can I access these from? I just recently moved here.
Wonderful. So yes, I will get that for you and I'll post it in the comments so it's easy to access, but it's our digital Peoria. So Peoria's digital, basically it's our YouTube channel for Peoria. And if you click on the sustainability playlist, all of our classes are in that playlist. So Diane, I printed off myself a flyer, so I have these at hand. So we just had our Spine-tacular cactus class. We've got a recycling class that is coming next on February 3rd. And then on February 20th, we are releasing our spring vegetable gardening class. And so we have fantastic teachers that are doing these as well. So it is youtube.com/digital Peoria is the website for our YouTube channel. And then it's the sustainability playlist. And before we leave today, I will get the direct link to our playlist and I'll put that onto our website as well. Stephen may have already done that for you as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, that's a great question. And that's the tricky side and probably the downside to virtual, where we're offering them that they go live at a specific time like they would a regular class, but you have to kind of go back through, and the way YouTube is set up, things that aren't playing instantly, they get moved around. So I think it has been a little bit trickier for us to make sure that people can instantly get back to the class that they were hoping to view. So I'm glad you were able to ask that. We were able to provide that direct link. Any other questions or ideas or thoughts of how we can do outreach better for the community for sustainability?
Yeah, of course, being a teacher, I'm going to think about my kids and everything. I've noticed a lot of the classes and all that, and they're great for the community and great things that people can take home to their houses and all to do as far as sustainability goes. Have you guys thought about anything as far as any teacher education programs where teachers can be trained to take it back to their students in the classroom, or any classes, out to the schools or anything out directly to the kids too?
Yes, so glad you're on the line with us tonight, David. So we actually work with Project WET. That is a program through the Extension Office and through the University of Arizona. And Project WET works with teachers and sets a curriculum and does some training. And it specifically, they target 4th graders. So all of Peoria ISD's 4th graders take part in the Project WET, and it's basically called like a water festival. So they learn all about the water cycle, where our water comes from, and it ties into how Arizona has to really think sustainably with our water, because we're a desert, so we're very unique in that. And so we have that strong program with our 4th graders. I also have loved working with all age groups. We have discovery stations that we can actually bring into a classroom to talk about watersheds, groundwater. There's the potential to have one that's on energy as well, although Peoria doesn't have that yet, but it's something that I'm in the process of getting ready for the coming year. Unfortunately, because of COVID and the classes being out, this is something that we'll probably have to eyeball a little bit more for the next year to be able to start to get inside the classrooms a little bit more. But that is our goal, is to be able to offer a few more options for our youth and our students. But we also can attend STEM nights and things like that, which which we've done in the past as well, to schools that have them. We can bring one of our stations and kind of talk about some of these items. David, had you heard of the Project WET festivals or program before?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done some things through that with some of our projects. I've been involved with the MESA program for 25 years now, so we've done a lot of things, a lot of different projects. You know, our students have worked through and all that, environmental and so on. So yeah, we've used some resources from Project WET and various other resources too, dealing, of course, with sustainability, the environment, invasive species. I know you mentioned about the stinkweed plants and so on like that. So we've dealt with invasive species, rainwater harvesting,
Yeah.
a lot of different things like that. So we've our kids, and the only reason I know a lot about these things is what my kids have taught me from all the research and everything that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've used a lot of different resources out there that from the community for our MESA projects and our training in there.
Excellent. That's great to hear. I'm glad you're familiar with that program as well. When it comes to Peoria and our education in the Water Conservation and Sustainability Hub, it's a bit of an open door. So this is a growing program. And if you have ideas or needs, please feel free to contact me. I would love to have a pilot school and program that we can start some of these on to really harden and kind of get a better sense of what is going to work the best for our Peoria classes. So I would love to work that out with you and see if there's any needs that we can potentially meet and create some different programs for those students that are more in high school rather than the fourth graders, maybe some different age groups. So feel free to email. I would love to chat further about what we can do to kind of grow that program.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Yeah.
So another question I'll toss out there is, so for the sustainability plan and for this outreach that we're trying to do, is there some way that you guys would think we might be able to reach more people? Was there a method? So we do social media, of course, and we've got a newsletter that's going and our website, but are there any groups that you feel that we should tap into that maybe we haven't had a chance to yet to make sure that we are reaching our community in its entirety? I'll take the silence as maybe a no for now. Again, if you think of anything, feel free to pop in later to type it. I can toss out another fun fact as well as our group, and with sustainability and our education outreach, we partner with a lot of other departments. So we have been able to attend some of our neighborhood services events. So they have these community pop-up events, as well as they have a holiday festival that we just had. That was a big drive-through event. And so we work with them and we attend these when we can and provide our resources as well as our education to those that come through. We work with parks a lot. And by the way, parks has amazing programs. If anyone hasn't checked into those too, we have a park ranger named Della, and she has done some really great things, has some really fun programs. I think they have a butterfly or pollinator garden now, and they do these BioBlitz using the app, which is the iNaturalist app. And so anytime during the month that they run this event, you go to Peoria locations and you get to take pictures and kind of record what plants and animals you're seeing there. And it all gets logged into the system that gives researchers a much better idea of the diversity within the community. So Parks and Della, they've got some amazing programs that are going on. We've got arborists that we do things for Tree Day, Tree Arbor Day, and Earth Day, and some wonderful things too. So Peoria has done a really good job at making this be, each department has their individual experts. And so really at sustainability, we're just tapping into the experts that are already within these different departments and just trying to coordinate and make sure that we can make aware all of the great things that are being done. Nancy, did you want to?
Yeah, have you ever tried going to farmers markets that are around town and having a booth for information?
That's a great idea. That's something that is on my list, and I'm glad that you brought that up as a potential to also have information at. But this last year, I don't know how many farmers markets were up and going, but as we kind of move into hopefully a more event safe area, then those are things that we may definitely start showing up at. Nancy, do you know of any one specific in Peoria? I know there used to be the one that was in P83. Do you know of any other specific farmers markets that would be a good target?
Yeah, we have one in Vistancia. at the third Sunday of every month.
Where's it located in Estancia?
At where the main pools are and the largest playground. I don't remember the name of the streets right off. Like I said, I haven't lived here very long yet.
Wonderful. No, that's a great idea. Thank you. I will look that up and see if I can find a contact to potentially get a table there.
Yeah, if you just contact, you can even, they have a website that lists everything, and they send it out, the information in the newsletter to all of the people who live in the community. We
Another
get
great
monthly,
idea.
yeah, so it gets advertising every month.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's great. Yes, if we can even just get a blurb in some of the newsletters to let them know what events that are going on, that is also a great idea.
Right.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on that, I was kind of thinking about, I had to think for a minute about some ideas, but I was kind of thinking too about maybe getting with some of the neighborhoods or communities within Peoria when they have community meetings. Maybe like Vistancia, Westbrook Village, some of those communities like that, or any of the HOAs or anything around where if they have any meetings or they could get their groups together. And I know it's kind of difficult now with the pandemic, but maybe in the future where there could be a community meeting within that community about sustainability efforts that could happen within the community or at their homes right there.
Yes, a great idea. And that is a target of mine as well, which again, this year we were not able to do as much with, but especially on the water conservation side, we tend to work pretty closely with some of the HOAs for water efficiency. So adding the sustainability aspect of it is just an easy crossover. Let's see, Stephen says at Trilogy by the Kiva Club. Next one is next weekend. Okay, wonderful. And then I guess my last question for you all, and then I'll kind of give it a pause to see if any other ideas come through, is do you like the format that we have been trying to engage residents? And do you have any tips or any suggestions of how we can potentially make this any better if we do these in the future to kind of gauge where everyone is at with our progress of the plan?
I would say be a little bit more detailed in an outline for the meetings.
Sure. Great idea. Anything else?
Maybe a thought or possibility might be, and maybe some things you're doing this already, but maybe something that you would get from the training or the like sustainable university, like you get low flow shower head that you could take home with you, or you talked about different cactus or different xeriscape, anything dealing with that where you get to bring a plant home with you or something like that. So might be a nice enticement to walk away with.
You're exactly right, David. When we have our in-person classes, we always have goodies for folks. We have given away plants in the past, soil probes, some really good things. So you're exactly right. That's something that we've not quite figured out in the virtual world, how to kind of have that extra goodie and that walk away item that folks get to have. But that is something that we definitely want to continue to offer. We do at these events that we're attending, like these neighborhood service events, we were able to give away conservation kits, which had some of those items that you mentioned, the low flow shower heads, aerators, LED light bulbs and night lights that were part of that kit. So we are definitely trying to get those things out, especially to areas that potentially are older and would have the need to have some of these updated fixtures as well. So one of the other things that we're looking at in the future is having kind of like an application online where you can actually request these conservation kits as a resident and be able to get them. So you guys are right in line with where we hope to be going here in the future with our education and our outreach.
David, do you guys have periodic district teachers meetings where teachers get together to discuss current topics or, way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. We have every Wednesday is a professional development day. And some of those are geared at the schools for specific school activities or for teachers to work in their learning communities, things like that. And then, but at least once a month is a professional development that's a district day. And usually on those, the district sets up sign-up workshops for teachers to attend, so they can select different workshops that pertain to their subject area, grade level, things like that. So that might be an opportunity to get in with the district on that. Yeah.
So you had mentioned, getting the teachers involved and giving them information, and maybe a district meeting for teachers. We might be able to give them that type of information. I see the STEM teachers, science, technology, engineering, and math are involved, but this can reach out to the social sciences, economics, all those different opportunities for sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because and so many of the most of the workshops are run by different teachers or professional development staff, things like that. So I think they would really welcome some outside groups coming in to be able to do some training and all, and make that available for teachers. So I know our some groups of STEM teachers had a little bit of training, and then we're able to go down to the Maricopa County STEM resource building that they have to take a look at different STEM activities they could do, and also pick up some STEM supplies that were down there as well. So different opportunities like that to work with would be awesome. Yeah.
Great idea, and definitely a contact I'll have to look for and to find for the district is to get into how can Peoria maybe have a greater part in some of these teacher education days, so that we can share what we have, and also maybe provide some resources if we're able to as well. So that's wonderful. Stephen also asked, can we reach out to people at the libraries? So yes, we actually work pretty closely with our libraries. All of our educational material is there. We tend to have flyers at each of the libraries for our classes and events. And then I hope to work, we have a Fusion Xeriscape demonstration garden that's pretty close to where our main library is. And so once COVID and things calm down, we hope to be able to offer tours as part of like an education class and program that the libraries run. We can just walk right over to the garden and do an awesome little tour and talk about some of the environmental benefits of desert and our native plants. So those are definitely partnerships that we will continue to expand upon. Great questions, everyone. All right, I will give it a pause to see if anything else comes through before we move into our closing for the night. All right, I think we'll switch back to the slides. So while we're switching over, I can read off some of the awesome classes that we have coming up. So I mentioned recycling and vegetable gardening, but we also have we're gonna have a virtual tour of our Desert Fusion Garden, which will be released on March 13th. And then we have the best small desert trees, which is a great class because oftentimes we put the wrong tree in the wrong place. And so this will give some really good options of smaller ones for our yards that are starting to get smaller as well. So sometimes these are a better fit. In April, we're going to have a wildlife friendly landscapes class. And then on April 24th, we're going to have a class on resilient landscapes. So this goes all about choosing the right plant that are resilient and are drought resistant, and then talking about irrigation practices as well. So some really great classes coming up. So hopefully you guys will watch the link to our playlist, where these will, once they get released the day of, usually it takes about 3 days after they're released, and then they move these onto that sustainability playlist on YouTube that is linked there by Stephen Russell. So we hope that you guys check that out. Okay, so we're moving into our next step. So our online survey, it is live and it is out there. Woohoo! We have this on our sustainability website, which is linked right there. The survey will take about 10 minutes to fill out. There are questions on all of our 8 topics that we plan to have in this sustainability plan. And then for each topic, there's also kind of an open-ended question where you can, again, write some commentary in there as well. If you have an idea or something that maybe wasn't asked specifically, that's kind of your place to fill that in. So we're excited that that is live. We hope that you take that survey as well. We are going to begin to wrap up our outreach and our idea collection. So the survey will be open until March 15th. And then we close it, and then we kind of begin our final process of going through the data and the information that we've learned. And then the next step is to draft our new plan goals from that. So again, we really hope that you guys continue to participate. We're super excited about hearing all the wonderful things that you would like to see here in Peoria. But we also want to let you know that we have another way. If you think of things later that you would like to either ask a question or provide some information back, you can always email us at conservation@peoriaaz.gov. We are happy to, I will find the answer for you or connect you to the right person. And if you have ideas, I will take that into our database. We will use that as we begin to frame out our plan. So we've got several different ways that we are taking information from our community. And we hope that you all stay in touch with us. So again, we want this to be a really transparent process, and we want to make sure that we're letting the community know where we're at in the plan and the goals and how we're progressing over time. So we have actually created a new sustainability newsletter. If you go to that link on the top, so our sustainability webpage, there's a envelope button right there. You just click on that to join our newsletter. We will not flood your email box with newsletters. It's usually about 1 a month, maybe 1 every 2 months, depending on how much stuff is going on. And it has information on updated of our plan. You'll have sustainability and conservation tips, as well as a listing of events that are up and coming. So pretty short, sweet, and simple, but that will be kind of a great way to stay in tune with the different things that are going on right now. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. I know your time is precious, especially when you add more digital onto an already very digital day. And so we really appreciate your time and your sharing of thoughts today as we talk about our topics and go through this. So thank you again so much for joining. And we really hope that that you continue to engage and that you take the survey, and feel free to reach out if you have any further questions.